Hey, it's Jay in the workshop today. Primarily in my workshop I make dice, and I haven't even done a dice video yet. So let's do one. I made for my patrons these Audrey II dice, and I'm just going to show you how they were made, alright? Let's do it. Alright, first things first, we need to print our Audreys, and I've skipped over the printing process because the machine does all the work and I couldn't show you if I wanted to. But there they are, all printed up, and I just gotta give them a little wash, so into the drink they go. You'll notice I'm wearing a glove because nobody wants to touch uncured resin. And then I have to peel them off of the sprues. Now I'm often asked if these unbalance the dice in any way, and that's exactly why I print them out of resin, specifically so that it's resin going into resin, and it shouldn't have any kind of impact on the dice balance at all. There's that beautiful baby all cleaned up, and into the cure it goes. Next step, of course, is to give it a little prime. I tend to prime in a nice neutral gray, makes it easy to paint over, especially with darker colors like Audrey's going to be. And then I have to set up for painting, and this is probably the most complicated step. I do use Reaper Bones paints because goodness knows I have enough of their minis laying around. Now my first step is to just lay down a base coat of green over the primer. And you'll note that I didn't try too hard to get full coverage with the primer. For the most part, you just want to cover as much as possible to make it easier to lay on paint. The paint will stick to 3D resin just fine, but my 3D resin is translucent, which can actually make it pretty easy to miss spots. So prime first, base of green, red luscious lips, thank you Audrey. And then I'm just doing a little bit of highlighting with a very bright green. And it looks a bit awkward now, but once I go over it all with a bit of a wash, it'll all blend together really nicely. Now I tend to paint in groups because while I'm working on the other bits, the first bits have time to dry. That's the other nice thing about these pigments is they dry pretty rapidly. But it helps to have a few extra bits to work on while the other ones are drying so I don't end up smearing paint everywhere. Despite that, you can see it's all over my fingers anyway. But a little bit of a red tongue and some bright white teeth and that like lovely blending wash, and we're good to go. Next step, of course, is into the drink with her, or them, I suppose. They're probably fairly genderless. Let's not make too many assumptions about a carnivorous man-eating plant. And this part's pretty straightforward. I just put in clear resin into my own homemade molds based on my own homemade dice that I have designed myself. And this one came out with a pretty big bubble, and you can see I've dug it out just a little bit to make it easier to fix. And that's actually going to be the next step, is repairing the bubble, because the die is otherwise perfect. So I take a little bit of liquid latex and I fill in the number at any place I don't want to get extra resin on. And then I begin to fill in that hole with resin. And once that goes in the pressure pot and cures, you can see it comes out a little bit gross looking, but otherwise fine. And that's exactly what the sanding wheel is here to fix. Basically grinding everything flat and smooth again. And then I go through the polishing process with every single one of these stages to get it back to a very clear shine. I had to chip out some of the sanding powder that ended up in the numbers, and then I can paint them a beautiful blood red for our beautiful Audrey baby, and pretty much just going to fill in every number and wipe off the excess on a paper towel. Once that's done, I give it a final wipe down and we're good to go. Yay! It's pretty much perfect. Let me bring it up here. So that is the process start to finish. It is not simple, it is not easy, and there's a reason handmade dice cost more than a couple dollars you get for manufactured dice. That was days of work, really. So, but they're gorgeous, and I got a few more of them to clean up and paint, so I definitely want to do that. So I will tell you, take your meds. And if we make nothing else besides a really cool Audrey II D20, let's make it a good day, alright? Feed me, Seymour. Whoosh. Yeah.